Hi everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am here to share with you today a layout I created as a guest designer for Pretty My Page. So if you don't know about it, Pretty My Page are specialized in cut files. You can have either the digital version or you can even order some pre-cut files if you don't have a cutting machine. So I chose this heart wreath because I thought it was super cute, and I decided to use mixed media on it because I thought it would be great to add a bit of texture to it. So I put some modelling paste through a stencil, Vicky Bouton stencil, on half of the wreath, and then I've left it to dry. Here is dried, and now I'm playing with some Lindy's Gang magic powder to paint over and colour in where I've put some modelling paste, but also where I've left it a little bit blank. I wanted to use different shades, so I made some of it a little bit darker, and then I added a little bit more water in another mix of it, but it's all the same colour, it's all the same shade. And I'm going around my wreath, just colouring it in and adding the colour, the lighter colour first. And then I thought I want to add a bit of darkness so that the modelling paste, really get visible through. And I like how it kind of reveals the design of it. So once it's dry, as you can see, the colour is a little bit more subtle. It's a little bit of vintage kind of pink, a little bit of vintage rose, less burgundy than it was when it was wet. And I absolutely love the effect, and I think that pink worked really well with this old Eco Park paper. I think that dates back from around 2016. So as you can see, it's using up a little bit of the older stash. And I decided to then go with a little bit of the blue Lindy's Gang powder to add a little bit of details behind my cut files. I've also forgotten to add, I've backed my cut files with a little bit of velum to add some interest and texture, but also so that the background doesn't show as much through my cut file. So here I'm using a little bit of the packaging technique, and as you can see, once the cut file is on there with the vellum, it really tone it down, that little bit of mixed media. But I like the fact that we still see that blue a little bit throughout. I've placed my cut file a little bit off center to add some interest, and I'm cutting off the excess. And now what I'm doing is, you know the little heart that get cut out when you cut your cut files? I've used that to draw around on pattern paper to then fussy cut it so that I could place them on sticky foam pad in some of the hearts here and there, just to add a little bit of interest. So using the sticky foam pad means that the hearts are raised off of the cut file, and the cut file was glued directly on the background, so really the raised heart are, as it is, they are raised, and it adds some volume to my page, and it's using the cut file in a different way rather than just backing it up with the pattern paper. So here I'm deciding on where I'm placing everything. I've got those some gorgeous flowers as well that I've used from the cut files that I got with Pretty My Page. So I've decided to go with the pansies for this layout. I think they are more delicate and they worked better with this heart wreath and with the style I wanted to go with. I then mounted my photograph on some different papers just to frame it and make it stand up a little bit better. So there you go, and I'm layering a little bit of vellum too. I'm using this pink paisley paper that was in the January hip kit, just to show you that you can really mix different collection from different times, and it all works well. I've got papers that are from 2016 and I've got some papers that are from 2020, so it's all about pulling the colors together and choosing those colors, and it works really well. If the colors are the same, it'll go together. So now I'm mounting all my hearts. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'm mounting all the hearts onto sticky foam pads, and I'm sticking them in place in the middle of the hearts. So there you go, as you can see, just going around placing them all. I just love this technique. It's really a different way of looking at cut files and backing them and adding volumes to your page. It just does all the work for you. Cut files usually is a great way to make a quick layout. I just love using them. I thought I was missing a couple of hearts, and I wanted to bring back that pink paisley paper as well. So I decided to cut 3 more hearts out of the pink paisley. It's really to bring consistency, but also to make sure that I had enough filled heart around my page. I wanted to leave some empty, and I want it to fill some up, and I think that's just the right amount of everyone. So now I'm backing my flowers with some vellum, so it's exactly the same thing that I did with the heart cut file, but I like the fact that with the flowers it really gives it a delicate look, and it almost look like lace once you've got it in front of you. I think it's definitely become one of my new favorite techniques to back cut file with vellum. It's something that I'm really enjoying doing at the minute. I'm gluing them down, so when you use this technique, what you need to make sure is that you place the glue behind where the paper is and not the vellum, because it'll show through your vellum. So place the glue where the cut file is, and it will not be visible on your page. So there you go, just a little tiny technique. I distressed all the papers that I used to map my photos, and the vellum, I crunched it a little bit to add volume and to add some texture too. I then worked with some threads to add a little bit of details behind my photograph. I just like to add a little bit of textures and different kind of mediums and fabric, and it's just nice to see different ways of decorating your layout. I'm backing the other 2 cut files of the pansies with my vellums, just to carry on with that same technique. I think it works better if you have one cut files that you repeat several times. It works better on your layout if you always back it with the same thing. It's not a black and white rule. Sometimes it can work if you back it with different things, but I think in this instance, because we've got so much detail going on around the heart cut files, all the different papers, the mixed media, it's nice to have the same technique to back up the flower cut files, because that kind of give it some consistency to the page and a bit of a repetition that makes it not go all crazy and in every direction. So still cutting all my cut files. It's fairly quick to cut your vellum afterwards, because you don't need to be super precise. You can lift it a little bit behind, so you cut behind the cut file, and then it just makes it quicker too, rather than being super precise. So gluing it behind the photo, And now I'm trying to add the layer finishing touches. So I used a few elements from the January hip kit to complete, because it's all the same colour scheme really as the paper I had chosen to start with. So same again, just to make it work together, what you need to do is to look at the colours, and if you have the same colours throughout, you can use different collections, different brands, and it just works. The colour is what get your page to be coherent. I wanted to stick with the whole vellum story, and it's a technique I've seen other scrapbookers use, and I absolutely love that as well. I'm really into my vellum at the moment. I glued my title onto some vellum, and then I've cut around it. So you need to be very, very delicate when you do that, because the vellum tears very easily. So this is why you'll see me switch from fussy cutting scissors and then my craft knife, because in some places where you would need to lift it for the scissors to go through, it just tears. So that's where, in order to avoid lifting it, you've got to use your craft knife. It's a little bit time consuming, you've got to be very careful, but the result is so worth it. It really makes your title look super delicate, especially when you have such a fine title like this. It also helps making your title stand out too, because you're doodling a little bit around the title. So the title doesn't get, when it's such a fine title like this wording from Pink Fresh Studio, it can get lost in the design of your page, and backing it with vellum, or even backing it with some cardstock, that's something you can do as well. It helps it stand out. So yeah, still going through with the finishing details. I lay a few ephemeras, I lay a few stickers. All these still, as I say, from the January Pink hip kit, and I'm pulling out the hearts from this Pink Paisley set, and I decided that I wanted to go with a bigger heart, but then it clashed with that little round I had put in, so I just replaced it. It's okay to change your mind. A page is not set in stone. You can alter it, you can move things around, it's not a problem. So adding a few last detail, and a few epoxies around, just to finish it off really. And now I'm going with a little tiny last strip of paper, just to have my date at the bottom. And for this I used a different color ink than what I would normally do, because I thought the black would simply clash with it, and I'm really happy that I did choose something a little bit more mild. I splashed around a little bit of white ink and dried it off, and there you go, that's my finished layout. There with the overall finished result. I hope you like it. Please don't hesitate to leave some comments. I hope you'll go and have a look at Pretty My page. They have some really inspiring cut files. It was a pleasure to work with, and as they have 2 layouts coming up for them that I'm sharing with you, so keep an eye open for that, and looking to hearing from you. Bye.